Hey there, everybody. It's me, your good friend Sparky, and we need to talk about the Nintendo Switch. Great system, right? It's both a handheld and a console. There's a lot of fantastic games to play on it, including pretty much the entire Wii U library at this point. It sold really well, too. I'd go as far to say it's the best Nintendo system in years, since the glory days of His Majesty the Nintendo 64, king of video game consoles. And not too long ago, Nintendo announced a brand new Switch variation, the Nintendo Switch OLED, being released later this year with a handful of enhancements that, honestly, address a lot of criticisms people had about the system. Aside from Joy-Con drift. I don't think they're legally able to talk about that yet. And of course, fan reaction to the new system was not great. Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yes, people have had stellar commentary like, "That's not the Switch Pro. Where's the rest of it? Why did they even bother to make this? What were they thinking?" Now, I get it. I really do. When a new version of a system gets released and the changes seem minimal, or even confusingly basic, you do have to wonder what the line of thinking is. And sometimes people who were early adopters of a system feel gypped when what's technically a better version of the console is released after you've already invested a ton of money into a purchase. But for real, the reactions I've been seeing to the OLED, I've been seeing very few positive ones. It makes me really sad and want to pray for you people's souls a little. Look, I'm gonna tell you why they made the OLED. They made it because that's what Nintendo does. They release multiple versions of the same system over its lifespan to increase people's buying options and continually generate sales. Sometimes the new versions are good, and sometimes they seem unnecessary, but Nintendo has always done this. And yet, that's a fact that people seem to conveniently overlook or forget about when they go and do this sort of thing. Just in case you need a refresher, here's a list of different Nintendo systems and their different iterations over the years. The Nintendo Entertainment System. The New Style NES, or top-loading model. The Super Nintendo. The New Style Super Nintendo. The Nintendo Wii. The Wii Family Edition. The Wii Mini. The Wii U. The Deluxe Edition Wii U. The Game Boy. The Game Boy Pocket. The Game Boy Light. The Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advanced SP. The Game Boy Micro. The Nintendo DS. The DS Lite. The DSi. The DSi XL. The Nintendo 3DS. The 3DS XL. The 2DS. The new Nintendo 3DS. The new 3DS XL. The new 2DS XL. The Nintendo Switch. The Switch Lite. And finally, the Switch OLED. Do you get the point yet? This is nothing unusual, and this is nothing to freak out over. This is just an example of Nintendo being Nintendo. System revisions like this are primarily aimed towards people who don't own the previous model. It increases buying options and can be used to convince customers to make a purchase they may have previously been hesitant about. You've got your basic Nintendo Switch model, the standard $300 package. Comes with a system, controllers, and plays a whole mess of great games. Then there's the Switch Lite, made for people who just want a gaming handheld and who don't care about all the bells and whistles of the regular Switch model. It's not as advanced, but it's more affordable, and it's a better fit for younger children who probably have a habit of breaking stuff. Joy-Con are expensive and break down often enough. You don't want little Timmy dropping yours in the toilet, so you get him his own cheaper game system instead. And now you have the OLED. This is the hardcore gamer's Switch, for the people who want and value something a bit more fancy. It's got an improved screen for handheld gaming, a more versatile kickstand for tabletop gaming, and the dock has a built-in Ethernet port for more stable, wired online gaming in TV mode. Not to mention it has more internal storage space, allowing you to more easily add to your gaming library. Because let's face it, the 32 gigs of internal storage on the basic Switch doesn't go a long way. If you're willing to shell out an extra $50, you get a little extra for your buck. And for people who want an upgrade or who weren't satisfied with what the original Switch offered, the option for something new is there. Just buy the new one and gift the original model to your brother or cousin or something. Just don't give it to little Timmy. That kid sucks. And of course, the most important part of all of this is that if you don't think the upgrades are great or particularly worth it, you don't have to buy it. You can wait for the next big thing, or you can just not spend your money. You're a human being with the free will to make that decision. Crazy, right? Personally, I don't think I'm going to be upgrading. I usually don't in cases like this, at any rate. The one exception to this being upgrading from my regular Game Boy Advance to the GBA-SP. Because that lighted screen, that was something special, I tell ya. The one thing on the OLED that really draws me in is the prospect of having more storage space. But at the same time, it would be more cost-effective to just buy a bigger SD card to put my games on, so I'll be sticking with my basic Switch, and I'm sure a lot of others will too. So yeah, that's why the OLED exists. It's just something new for Nintendo to try and increase their player base. It's not a fantastic upgrade, but it's a par for the course thing that the company has pretty much always done. But that's not really why some people are upset, right? The negative reaction goes a bit deeper, because I feel like a lot of gamers were expecting more out of the next Switch model. They were expecting the mythical, long-rumored Switch Pro. A Switch with more power and 4K video output. The perfect gaming machine with improved Joy-Con and strength equal to the PlayStation 5. It could probably even cure terminal illness and resurrect the Messiah, bringing an age of prosperity and glory to Nintendo fans everywhere. Or something like that. I don't know, I never really paid much attention to the rumors. Because that's all they are at the end of the day. Rumors. We live in an age where tons of information is easily communicated on a daily basis, and it can be difficult to determine what info contains some truth and what actually is just an elaborate lie. The fact of the matter is that the Switch Pro probably isn't going to happen, or at least, it's not going to happen yet. Why do I say this? Well, let's look back down this list of Nintendo console revisions. While Nintendo has the very George Lucas-like habit of not leaving what they had already made alone, and continually releasing new versions of what people already liked well enough, a lot of these updates or revisions aren't exactly stellar. They vary from being basic design changes, to having minor quality of life updates, to having certain features actually removed to make the system more affordable, to being the Game Boy Micro. Yeah, that one I still don't understand, honestly. The most significant update on this list would be something like the DSi or the new 3DS. These revisions actually made noticeable hardware changes that added new features and improved on the performance of the system. But overall, the changes were not exactly mind-blowing additions. And something like the Switch Pro, from what I know of it, might be too big of a step just to be another console update. You take a look at the Switch, and it really is an impressive bit of hardware. But it's unfortunately limited by its design, and a bit of technical magic would have to be performed to get things like 4K video output and really significant performance power built into this tiny package. Or at least, I think so. There could be something I'm overlooking, or I just don't know enough about the subject to really comment effectively on it. So if I'm wrong in this line of thinking, feel free to correct me. But regardless, I don't think the Switch Pro is going to happen, or at least not in the form people are expecting. If there is any truth to the rumors about this superior Switch, they're probably referring not to the Switch itself, but its inevitable successor. The Switch is 4 years old already, so the next big thing is probably in the works at Nintendo as we speak. It's only a matter of time before we see some sort of news on it. Just give it a few more years. With that all said, I hope I've provided some sort of clarity on the subject for some of you. The OLED may not be what you were expecting, but it still has a place in the world of gaming. And it's not like Nintendo is the only company that participates in this sort of console revision madness. Sony and Microsoft are guilty of it too, and it's just part of the way the video game industry works. If you like what I had to say, or if you have something to add, feel free to leave a comment and keep the conversation going. Until then, this is Sparky, signing off for now. I'll catch you later.